All right, so if you run a small business, you know the drill. You work your tail off to get people in the door. But the real question is, how do you keep them coming back? Well, today we're going to dig into a tool called Super User Manager that claims to put customer loyalty completely on autopilot. Let's see if it lives up to the hype.
But before we get into the solution, let's talk about the problem. And to really get it, let me ask you a question. What do you think is the #1 silent profit killer for small businesses? It's something that's always there, just quietly chipping away at your success.
The answer? It's customer churn. And the number is pretty shocking. On average, a small business loses between 20 and 30% of its customers every single year. Just think about that for a second. Imagine 1 out of every 4 or 5 of your regulars just vanishing. That's what's happening, and it's a huge, often invisible, hole in the bucket.
And the financial side of this is just wild. We all know it's cheaper to keep a customer than find a new one, but how much cheaper? Well, the data says it costs 5 to 7 times more to acquire a new customer. That is a massive difference. You know, they say even a tiny 5% bump in retention can boost your profits by anywhere from 25 to almost 100%. So yeah, this isn't just about being nice to people, this is about smart business.
Okay, so if retaining customers is so important, why is everyone so bad at it? Well, it's because the old school tools we've been using are, frankly, broken. Let's talk about the flaw in tradition.
Ah, yes, the classic paper punch card. We've all had them, right? They get stuffed in a wallet, go through the wash, or just get lost forever. It's no surprise that something like 40% of them are never even redeemed. But you know, the biggest problem isn't just that they get lost, it's that you get nothing from them. No data, no contact info, no way to know who your best customers are. It's a total black box.
So then you might think, okay, I'll go digital. And you look at the big, fancy enterprise software. But then you see the price tag. We're talking $200, $300, $400, even $500 a month. And they're so complex to set up. They're packed with a million features that a local coffee shop or a hair salon is never, ever going to need. It really is like trying to use a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Total overkill.
And the third option, the custom loyalty app. But let's be honest. Think about your own phone. How many more apps are you willing to download? We've all got app fatigue. People just don't want a separate app for their coffee shop, their bookstore, and their taco place. And the numbers back this up. Most of these apps get download rates of less than 5%. It's just a huge hurdle that most customers won't jump over.
So what are you supposed to do? Paper is outdated, big software is way too expensive, and nobody wants your app. It feels like you're stuck, right? Well, this is exactly where Super User Manager steps in, with what they call the 10-second revolution. Here's how it works, and it's ridiculously simple. Your customer scans a QR code. That's it. Their phone's camera opens a web page. They can sign up with their Google or Apple account in one tap. The whole thing, start to finish, takes maybe 10 seconds. And here's the absolute best part. There is no app to download. None. It's completely frictionless. And what does that simplicity get you? Well, just look at this. The old app-based systems are struggling to get even 5% of customers to sign up. With Sum's QR code system, they're seeing sign-up rates of over 80%. That's not just a little better, that's a whole different universe. It's a total game changer for getting people into your program. Now, getting people to sign up is one thing, but the program itself has to actually make sense for your business, right? A coffee shop and a gym need very different things. So let's look at how Sum is designed to be a program for every business. First, you've got your classic point cards. This is exactly what it sounds like, and it's perfect for places like cafes, quick service restaurants, or retail stores. You know, businesses where people come in often. Customers earn points for every visit or every dollar they spend, and then they can cash those points in for a reward. Super simple, super effective. And does it actually work? Well, just ask Cafe Luna. They're a coffee shop, and after putting in a simple point system, they saw a 40% jump in repeat customers. I mean, think about that. In just 3 months. That is a huge needle mover for a program that basically runs on its own. Okay, next up is something called incremental cards. I like to think of this as a gamified loyalty program. This is brilliant for service-based businesses. Think gyms, yoga studios, hair salons. The idea is that the rewards get better as you go. So you hit 5 visits, you get a small reward. You hit 10, you get something better. It keeps people motivated and working towards that next milestone. Here's a perfect example. FitCore Studio. They use this incremental model to reward their members for showing up to classes. And the result? They cut their member churn by 42%. That's almost half. Why?
because their members always felt like they were close to unlocking the next cool thing, so they had a real reason to stick around.
Then there are amount cards. Now, this one is designed for businesses where customers don't come in every day, but when they do, they spend more. Think hardware stores, B2B suppliers, that kind of thing. The goal here is simple. Get people to spend a little bit more each time they shop. It's based on hitting spending thresholds. Spend X amount, get Y credit back.
And honestly, this customer quote from Mitchell's Hardware explains it better than I ever could. Their deal was spend $500, get a $75 credit. This guy was at $480. He was so close. So what did he do? He went and found $30 worth of screws to push himself over the edge. Think about that. He happily spent an extra $30 to get a $75 reward. That is a massive win for the store.
All right, so you've got a ton of people signed up, and they're in a program that's perfect for your business. That's great. But here's where we get to the really powerful stuff, the autopilot part. Let's see how Sum becomes your autopilot for growth.
This is my favorite part. The system basically acts like a safety net for your business. It keeps an eye on all your customers. If someone hasn't been in for, say, 30 days, it automatically sends them a friendly, "Hey, we miss you" message. If they hit 45 days, maybe it sends a little offer. At 60 days, something even better. And this simple, totally automated sequence brings back 15 to 25% of customers who would have just drifted away, all without you lifting a finger.
Okay, but what does all this cost? And what's the actual return on investment? Let's go back to Mitchell's Hardware. Their total cost for everything, the software subscription plus the actual cost of the rewards they gave out, came to just $229 for the month.
So they spent $229. Now, what did they get back? For that investment, they generated an extra $1,571 in pure net profit every month. This wasn't just moving sales around. This was brand new profit that literally wouldn't exist without this program.
You do the math on that, and what do you get? A 586% return on their investment. I mean, that's just insane. At that point, this isn't a marketing expense anymore. It's a straight-up profit center for the business. The numbers don't lie.
So when you really look at it, Super User Manager is so much more than just a digital punch card. It's a complete system. It makes signing up a breeze, it engages customers with a program that actually fits, and then it uses automation to make sure they keep coming back. It turns every customer interaction into real, measurable growth.
And that really leaves us with one final question to think about, especially if you own a business. Every single day, customers walk in and out of your door. How many of them are you just letting go? How many opportunities to build a relationship, to earn that next visit, are just slipping away? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?